So yesterday what we learned is how to build a simple React application and how to design component based environment. Successfully achieved the effects also, able to implement that bootstrap and all, right? Those bootstrap documents I will upload. So today I will upload, okay? Today I will upload the bootstrap documents. Means you can get that from the official website also, but a step-by-step guide I will upload, you check that. So we learned how to build a React, how to build a web application which can use React. But there is another concept we have to understand. Another important concept is, so we can build a new React application. So we will see how to build a new React application. How do we build a complete new React application? Actually, the previous approach is what? Previous approach. So we created a simple web application. In that web application, we are using all. But to build a separate React application, you need to know some more points. You need to understand. Actually, in real world development process, what happens? Yesterday, we created one project. Let's open that. I will open this. This is React Netflix. Now here, actually what we done is all these components we created these components in the same page. But in reality, all these components are kept in different files. Actually, I will show that environment today, then we can understand the application. So in our previous example, we created all in one place. In reality, what happens is JavaScript module system is used to build. So JavaScript module system is used actually to build React application. We generally use JavaScript module system for building React application. If you are already aware of modules in JavaScript, that's okay. Because in JavaScript, that is one important thing. I will just give a simple idea. If you haven't learned anything about modules, you should know JavaScript modules are important. Actually, what happens is in JavaScript, module is a set of classes, functions, and variables. In JavaScript, module is a set of classes, functions, and variables. A group of classes, functions, and variables can be kept in a module. Actually, every JavaScript file is considered as a module. Every JavaScript file is considered as a module. It is treated as a module. So that means, for example, you created some file like home component.js. It is a JavaScript file. Home component.js. And actually, what is the module name? The module name for this component is home component is module name. Home component is the module name. The file name is used as module name. And in a module, you can keep some variables, functions, classes, and everything. That means in a component, means in this module, you can keep some functions and all. That means what you can do is you can write a function. So the function name home component, that is the function. And you can return the functionality and all. This all generally people learn in JavaScript. I am just refreshing the concept. So this function that you return in this component file is not accessible outside. It is not accessible outside. For that, we need to mark it as export. A function need to be exported. Export function and the function name. Now, I want to use this in my application. I want to use this in my application. If I want to use this in my application, so means any page, in any page you want to use, you don't need to link this file. Generally, to use any JavaScript file and its members, we have to link the file. In module system, we don't need to link. What you can do is you can import the library. You can import the library and use in any page. You can use in any page. That means what you can do, you have to write the command import. You have to use import what? Home component, that is the function name, from which location. So home component dot js, that is the file. That means it is going to import this function from this file. Now you can use that function and handle in your page. That means now what you have done, you have used root.render. Am I right? You are using root.render, and here you can directly use home component. You can render that home component directly here. This is how actually a real world application is built. We don't write everything embedded. We will maintain separate files. What is advantage? Easy to reuse, easy to extend, easy to test, easy to maintain. So actually, how you build the libraries, you see, we are building the libraries like this. Let's go. These are all the components. So first step, what we are doing is here, let's go to src folder. This is src. All dynamic files are kept in src folder. You keep here src. Let's add the files. What are the component files we have? The component files we have, let's add them. I will add a new file. First, index component dot js. Okay, what is the next file? So header component dot js. Okay, what is the next file? Main component dot js. Okay, what is the next one? Register component dot js. These are the component files. These are the component files we have. Okay. Now let's go to index. I will remove this index component function from here. We will remove that from here. And we will put that code in index component JS. But this function, you see here, it is not accessible here. In this means it is not accessible outside. Then we have to mark it as export. It should be accessed outside. And very important, observe in this already these two are being used. We have header and main component, they are used in index. How you can use them? You have to import them also. You need to import them in this component. In this component, you have to import. That means here, first we will design those components also. Let's go to our code again. Let's go to the code index and remove the code of what? Register. Okay. Let's keep in the register component and make it as what? Export. Okay, let's go and remove the code of main and keep it in a main. And here also what? Export. And go to the code of, this is header. This is header. Okay, now you keep this in header. And this also is using what? Export. Like this you need. Now all are maintained in separate files. They are maintained in separate files. Now I will go index. In index, you will see only this is the logic we are having. Here we have to import which component? Here we are using index component. We have to import. That means we have to write import. Import component. Here we have to use component. What is it? Index component from which location? So it is present in another file dot slash, because our index is in public, come out of public, and you have to go to src. In this what? Index component dot js. This is what we need to import. Now, very important, you are importing that index component. Actually, that index component is using header and main. I will run this page now. When I run the page, you can see here in the output, it is nothing because we haven't set the complete environment. Just we are learning the process. Observe here. Here you see there is console. In console, it says, so require is defined. Require is defined and it is showing some problem. Require is not defined. Why require is not defined? What is this error at all? It is related to Babel because currently we are, I told you module system. Currently we are using which module system? UMD. In UMD, like module system, you cannot use the word import. You cannot use the word import. Then what you have to do? You have to use the word require. It is a Node.js library. Then you have to use require and you need to use the module. This requires good knowledge on, you need to have knowledge on all module systems and work with them. So I am just showing the concept. So this environment you will see in the next level, we will see that we are not implementing because there are some issues you will understand. Actually, this is the technique we are using for which purpose? Importing a module. Generally what happens, it uses like this. That means we have some variable, we have index component is equal to, it uses what? Require. Require. What is require? So some dot dot slash src slash, what is it? Index component dot js. Like this we use a technique. But still it is not complete. It is not complete to understand because it requires every library to import like this. So this environment we will see now how this works. That means in the index page, all the code will not be there. In the index page, only index component will be there. And rest of entire code is maintained in separate files. We import them and we use them. This is the environment you are going to see for React application. This is not correct environment for that. You are going to see that. I just showed you that we have to divide all the code into separate files and import them and use them. Let's see how to create this environment. How do we set up this environment? That means to work with this type of environment, we need to build a separate React application. Build a separate React application, and that React application will use this module system. That means you need to create separate files, you have to import and you have to use them. Let's see that how it works. For that, you are going to learn now how to create a new React application. How to create a new React application. This time, we are not manually adding folders, libraries, installing anything. Just we will run one command. Just what you have to do is open any location on your PC in command prompt. You open any location on your PC in command prompt, some D drive, E drive, somewhere. After that, you have to run the command. You have to run the command. So npx create React app, and you need to give the app name. You have to give the app name. App name is some React shopping, something like this. Now, what this will do is it will create a complete application for you, end to end, complete React application. It will set up folders, it will set up library, it will install compilers, everything. A to Z application is ready for you. You can just start using it. Earlier, what we done, we created folder, we created files, package.json, everything we manually generated. But now it will generate everything for you. Internally, it will start using a module system also. And that module system, actually, we are using UMD. But if you use CJS, Common JS module system, or ES module system, you can simply use import and you can import any library. So this command is going to create a React application for you. Let's see. I will open my command prompt. I will change to some E drive in my location. I am giving here npx create React app and space and app name. What is the app name you want to give? For example, I will give React shopping. That is one app name. Now just hit enter. So make sure that there is no folder already by that name, right? Just enter. That means it is going to create a folder by this name React shopping. Now I hit enter. This command is going to create a separate React application for you. It will download all the library. It will set up complete environment that you need for a React application. Actually, this type of environment also, we will learn how to design at the end, because for that we need to learn all concepts of React, then we can do this also manually. Now, many times people ask which one is good. So actually creating complete environment and configuring manually by yourself is good, because when you do this, it will add lot of libraries which are not necessary for you. That means you are unnecessarily installing everything which is not being used. Then it is burden for application. So in real world projects, what we do, we create everything from scratch. We will structure our project by ourselves. But learners cannot directly jump into that situation. That is the reason. First, you learn React, know your environment, then you can create that environment. Right? Without knowing the environment, you cannot create environment. Right? That is. Now you see it is installing all, and observe carefully. It is installing React, React DOM, and all other React scripts. And actually, this command will set up complete end-to-end environment. End-to-end environment means from building to deploying and testing, whatever required, everything it will give, including a testing framework also it will give. It by default gives a testing framework called Just. In generally React and Angular technologies, JavaScript based technologies are tested by using separate frameworks like Jasmine, Karma, and like Just and like Protractor. These are testing frameworks. By default, this command is going to create a complete environment for you, an end-to-end environment from building to deploying. Everything is ready. Let's see. So this command is going to create. So this will create an application. Now we will see the file system of React application. You will see, that means you will get that file system, you can open it. Open React shopping folder. After creating, you have to open this folder in VS Code, in Visual Studio Code. Already project is ready. We will try to understand that project, but you can directly start running your project. How to start run the project? So you can run project, because you created a project through command. It will give sample code also. It will give a index page. It will give a component, default one component it will give, and it will start with that project. How you can run your project? You have to run the project. You have to run in terminal. What is it? React shopping. In this, you have to use npm start. npm start is going to start your project, and actually your project will be running. So your project is server. Server is listening. Server is listening on http:// and 4200. This is 3000. That is the number. On this default, by default, every project runs in this port number. Every React application works. Actually, yesterday what we created, do you know where it runs? Yesterday what we created, it runs in localhost 5500. It runs in 5500. By default, it is using it. I used a live server, open with live server. You can change the port numbers you want. If already that port number is in use, it will take another port number. It will use another port number. How to set these port numbers, you will learn. You will understand how do we set the numbers and use them by ourselves. Currently, you can start the project, npm start. Let's see first here. It is still creating and it is ready. It will take little while. Why? Because that is the problem I already told you. It installs everything you may not need every time, right? But it's okay. These are good for learning level first. Once you are aware of everything by yourself, then you can go into building only what you want. You can choose only what you want. Okay, it is ready. So everything is working fine. That means it is successfully created our project. Let's see how it looks like. Let's close this and open Visual Studio Code. And in this, I will close this folder and let's open that folder. So go to File, Open Folder. In my E drive, a folder will be created by name React Shopping. By name React Shopping, a folder is created. Yesterday, we created React Netflix by our own, right? This is automatically created. And let's open this and see. Interestingly, you will find the same environment that you have seen yesterday. This environment we set up, we manually set up this environment yesterday. We created the package.json file, we created src public folders, we created this node modules. Automatically node modules added when you installed bootstrap and all. React, bootstrap, all libraries are present there. That means now the same environment is ready now. The same environment is ready. And I don't need to explain this now because already you know. Here some new concepts are there. We will see that, right? That is the reason I showed you that environment. How do we build? Because at React learning level, so many times people come and ask, sir, what is package.json? That is not good. That means at React like technology level, you cannot ask what is package.json. Because a ordinary basic learner of web technology knows what is package.json. And React is very high advanced technology. And here you are asking what is public, what is SRC. That is not good knowledge, right? That means these are generally learned by everybody who learns web development. At React level, we expect that people already know all this, right? It's not good that somebody explains you the file structure also. But usually many people don't have all the basic idea. That's the reason we need to explain. That means what is public, what is SRC, why it is used and all, right? But generally these are common things in every environment. So what we do is here, let's see, what is the file system? That means when you create a React application, you can see the file system of React application. The file system of React application, what you are having. First, you can see there is node underscore modules. Node underscore modules. You know the purpose of this. What it contains, it comprises of all library files. So CSS, JavaScript, any library that you installed using npm, those are present in which location? Node mod. All library files are present in this node modules. Okay. Second, you see there is public and you know it. Public, it comprises of what? It comprises of all static resources. Static resources means I explained already, like HTML. Static resources means nothing but we have like HTML, like images. Yesterday we kept some images, like other type of documents, text, PDF documents, all these. Next important, there is SRC. SRC comprises of dynamic. It comprises of all dynamic resources. Dynamic resources. Dynamic resources means what? Dynamic means like CSS, like JavaScript, JS, like TypeScript, like SAS, SCSS, so many. These are all dynamic resources. Actually, in our React application, you will see JSX. That is JavaScript extension library. We are using JSX now, not direct JavaScript we are using. Next, another, you see there is a file called git ignore. There is a file called git ignore. git ignore. You can see there is a file git ignore here. Git ignore. Actually, git ignore is nothing but generally git ignore it configures the resources not to include while publishing on git while publishing on git. That means we can publish our application onto cloud environment, like we can use git is the versioning tool and we can use that. I will show you here, we will see that. And when you are publishing your application to git, we don't want to include certain type of files to push into there. That means we will use those files for development, but in production we don't need them. In that case, the files that you don't need to include, that you configure in ignore, git ignore. What git ignore will do is it will not include those files finally when it is publishing our project. That you will able to understand once you learn how publishing happens. Next one, you can see there is a file called package.json. No need to explain, you know that. It comprises of project metadata. Metadata means information about all the application. Okay. That means what dependencies are there, which version are there, everything. Another important file is there. Package.lock.json. Package.lock.json file will be there. This is another file, package lock.json file. Actually, package lock.json file is nothing but what is difference between these two? Same concept. Actually, this is containing all the dependencies. This package lock.json, it is used to install dependencies. In not only install, it is used to install and update dependencies. That means actually, suppose you are learning a technology like Java, .NET or something, or let's say you are learning React. Now you want to practice some projects. And online, there are so many people who post free projects. Online, you will see a lot of free projects on React. You have so many websites, they will provide some free projects for practicing. And once you download those projects and try to run, they will not run successfully. Why? Because in that project, he may be using some libraries which you need in your computer also. Without that, they cannot run successfully. So how do we know what library he is using? That you can know by going into which location? Package.json. By going into package.json, we can know which library he is using, which version he is using. But if you want those libraries to be installed automatically in your computer also, then what you can do is, actually, you can run a command. You can run a command in the terminal called npm install. When you run this command npm install, what it will do is, this command will go into this file. This file contains information about which package and where to get the package from. That means package.json contains information about that package only. But this contains information about the package. This is brief, this is detail. Brief is required for a developer to know which package, but detail is required for the command to connect to that package resource and install it. That means what this command will do, it will connect to this file. It will check from where the package is coming. It will connect to that server, install that, download and install. That means it is going to update all the packages and install all the packages that you need for that particular project. So you don't need to even search which library they are using. You don't need to worry about which version library you are using. Just run this command. It will take care about everything. That is information present in which file? Package lock.json. So you can see here, when I go to package.json, this is all the information. And you can see it is showing what are the libraries: React 18, React DOM, and it is using different other libraries. If they are using, it will show that information. And when I go to package lock.json, it contains more details. More details related to every package. You can observe here Babel. Babel related more detailed information, its engines, what is required. This is very much required for installing those libraries. So this package JSON, you don't need to worry about this. You can simply say that the package JSON is a brief about the library, and package lock JSON is detail about the library. Everything that you need for a package to set up and install in project comes from that lock JSON, right? These are two important things you have. Another one, you see, there is a readme.md file. This is nothing but it is a help document for developers. That means for developers, because remember, when you run any command, means when you design a project, it's not necessary that every project should run in a similar way, because the commands that are used for compiling, processing, and executing, we can change those commands. We can set our own commands. We can set our own references. Then, because many times people do aliasing. Aliasing means it's a lengthy name, they give a shortcut name. As a developer, how do I know your shortcut names? As traditionally, I will give my original process, but it fails. It says that this is not available. That is the reason, if you are doing any changes in your project, if you want any developer to know how to handle your project, those all documentation we keep in this readme file. Actually, you see the readme, it will have all the information. That means it says that in the project directly, use npm start. It says that your development mode, it is running in which location, local host 300300, to test which command to use. All these kind of help documentation is present here. So that is all the help documentation you need to understand. Okay, this is for developers. Everything is ready made. Now, one more important, now how this project actually works. Now it is easy for you to understand. How it is easy to for you to understand is, majority you people can tell now. Now, if I start this project, tell me which file will first display on my screen. Index.html. Will it contain entire design? No. The design comes from a component. In our last session, which component we created? Index. Our application was starting with which component? Index. In yesterday's session, our Netflix site was starting with index component. Here, they have a component called app component. They have a component called app. It is inbuilt, ready-made, they have that component. That means, let's go and see. Observe where to find in public folder. Let's go to the public folder. You will see there is index.html. Open that index.html. Some logos, favorite icons, all are present. Open that index.html and you will see here, this is what it is having in the body. The same thing we done yesterday. In the body section of index page, we kept a no script, we kept a container, and we kept the ID for that container as root. Am I right? But what interesting you will see here, there are no files linked to this page. No files means script files, CSS files, they are not linked to this page, but they will be working for this page. They will be working for this page. That is how we set up the environment. That later you will learn. Initially, now what is going to render in this root? That means you can observe the logic for this is coming from, observe here, in SRC. Now all dynamic are present in SRC. Let's go to SRC. You see all JS, CSS files are here. And observe carefully, which is the index.js. Yesterday, same like our Netflix index. This is index.js. You see, this index.js is using root and it is using root.render. It is rendering which component? App component. Additionally, it is having lot of other logic, which you will understand. We will learn about them. These all are not required every time. I already told you that. Now you see, app component is rendering. Now, where is this app component you want to see? App component is coming from, it is imported from a separate file. It is imported from a separate file. And observe carefully, it is in app.what.js. I will open this app.js. You see, it contains function app. It is having the function app, and this function app is returning some presentation. You see the class names. You can see all the information. Everything is kept in one container. Am I right? And you see, they are exporting here. You can directly write export, or you can export after writing the functions. There are so many techniques. We will learn all of them. Now you see, this is app component. This app component is used in index. This index is used in our index.html. That means application starts with index.html. Index.html will connect to index.js. Index.js will connect to app component.js. That component is rendered. Let's see how to start this. Just you have to run the command. Open the terminal. This is terminal. Now remember, don't use right click and open with live server index page. That is not possible. Why? Because now you have to compile the complete project. All files are present. Every file need to be compiled. So then you have to run the command npm start. Remember, if there is a problem in any component, it will fail. Many people while practicing do this mistake. Generally what they do is, every day we will learn designing different components. Now yesterday they designed one component. Today we designed another component. What they do, in yesterday's component some errors are there. Today's component is successful. It is perfect, but it will not run. It will show error. You may be thinking about errors in the current component, but if there are errors in any component, it will not work. This npm start is going to compile entire project and it is going to run. It is going to run that option here, npm start. So it is going to compile your application now. And once it is compiled successfully, you can see automatically it launches browser. In the browser, it will show. In the browser, it will display the output. And you see it is automatically running in this location. Yesterday, our application was running in this location, right? And here it is running in this place. You can see this is the React application running. Just like yesterday, we designed a Netflix screen. They have a introduction screen. You know from where this is coming from. It is coming from which component? This output is coming from, they have only one component by default, app component. This is coming from app component. So if I want to customize this screen, then where to go? So we can go to app.js. Am I right? In app.js, you can see this is all the presentation it is having. I will clean up all this presentation. I will delete everything and I will just put a heading. So welcome to React 18, something like this. And you can see when I save this, automatically it is updated here. That means what you designed in that component, it is ready. Now you can create same Netflix like screen here. You can create same Netflix like screen here. So, but this time we will not write everything in index, right? What we do is, for every component, we will maintain a separate file. For every component, we will maintain a separate file. And we can handle the same functionality here also. Let's see how we can do that. That means same yesterday's example, we have to replicate here. Same yesterday's example, we should replicate. In that case, how we can manage? Means how we can do that, right? Let's see now. That means now we will go to src folder. We will go to this src folder. This is src folder. In this src folder, I will add a separate folder called some components. I will say like Netflix. Huh? In src folder, I am adding Netflix. You can see this is Netflix. In src folder, we have Netflix. In this, now add files. I will add a new file. What is the first file? Every component is maintained in a separate file. So how many components we need as per yesterday's design? 4. What is it? So Netflix, what is it? Netflix index. Huh? Yeah. So I will give simply like this, Netflix index dot what js. This is Netflix index.js. Okay, next one more file. Netflix what header.js. Okay, next one more file. So Netflix what? Main.js. Okay, next one more. So Netflix what? Register.js. Am I right? Now which one to start with? Netflix index we have to start with. So we will write a function here. Now, when you write any function in a module system, in any JavaScript file, it is not accessible outside. So you have to write export. Export function, the function name, Netflix what index. Netflix index. I'm not giving any component or anything, any name you can give. And you know what it should return. It should return a container, right? As of now, we are not having Bootstrap here. We have to install Bootstrap also if you want. But I will just first show you layout today. Later we can implement styles, effects and all, right? Okay. Now this is Netflix index. This is Netflix index. Okay. Now in this Netflix index, at the top you need a header. Am I right? And below the header you need a section. Below the header you need a section. And here we want to render header component. Here we want to render which component? Main component we want to render. So what we will do? Go to header component. Header.js. In header.js, we have to write, what is it? Export function. What is the function name? So Netflix what? Header. And this Netflix header is returning some presentation. Just we will put a div. In the div, we will say Netflix. And it is having like sign in. Am I right? It is having like what? Language, all these things. Those design later we will see. Just we will put a part there. Okay. Now let's go to the main. So export what? Function. So which one? Netflix what? Main. This Netflix main will return what it is going to return, a container. So, or we can keep it as what? Main. And here in the main, I will just give an option. I will put a heading. Heading saying that suppose movies, so limited movies and TV shows, something like this. And we have some paragraph, watch anytime. So, and anytime and anywhere. Like this, we are giving some option. Now we will create register also. What we have to do? Export function name. What is it? Netflix register. And Netflix register, it should return some div. In this, we will just keep an option. Input type is what? Email. And we will put end tag is there, right? We need a button. I will keep it as get started. Something like this. Now what we want here is, the process. That means in index.js, here we need to use which component? Header component. Netflix header component should come here. If Netflix header component have to come here, so this is a module system. You can't directly use them. You have to first import. That means you have to use the command import. Import what to import? Netflix header. From which file? It will automatically import that. And when you are using a separate module system, you have to just mention the file name, not extension. .js not required, just the module name. In that module, there is a function called what? Header. One more I need to import. What to import? Netflix what? Main. Main is also imported here. That means in header, what we have to render? Netflix header. Here, which one we have to render? Netflix main. Netflix main we have to render. That's what we need to do. Okay. Now still not finished. Why? Because in main, again, we need register. Na? That means let's go to the main. Here, I want below registered. That means you can simply import here. Which one to import? Netflix register. We have to import Netflix register. After that, we have to use that here below. I will use Netflix register. This is all ready. Yesterday, everything was in one place. All functions one below another. This is good because clean separation, easy reusability, easy maintainability, extensibility. Now let's go to where to start with. Go to index.js. There is a file called index.js. This is the startup. Now in index.js, we have to start with not with app component. With which component we have to start? Netflix index. First, we have to import that. What to import? Import. We have to import what? Netflix index. And that component you can use here. We can say Netflix index. It is ready. Now you can see that the Netflix index is ready. Everything is working fine. Effects and all not there, just only layout is created. That means we have header, we have main, and we have register. Now we can add all the effects into this, all the effects, but that is actually Bootstrap. That means in real world environment, a React application is built like this. It is built in this way. That means now let's put the effects here. Observe carefully, very important. Now, actually, this index requires some CSS. Na? We will write CSS in a separate CSS file. We write CSS in a separate CSS file. Yesterday, it was in head section only, style. That means what we will do is, we will add a new file and the file name Netflix index.css. In this Netflix index.css, what we do? Where is Netflix index? This is Netflix index. In this is the main div, na? Right? Actually, inside the main div, this main div, we can have one more div. Okay. Two divs are there. Huh? This is another div we are having. And this main div, just roughly I will give that. This main div. Yeah. This main div, what it is having? It is having a class name. Class name is what? Suppose this is Netflix body. That is the Netflix body. And this have a class name. This is a Netflix shade, like this. Netflix body, Netflix shade. Now we want a picture. Na? We want a picture. Then we will open this folder in File Explorer. We will open the folder in File Explorer, reveal in Explorer, and here you copy some picture. That means we have Netflix. Yesterday we created Netflix in public folder. Banner is there, na? Netflix banner. That we will copy into this location. There is a Netflix banner JPG file. Now what we have to do in the CSS, we have to link that. How do we link in the CSS? In the CSS, what we have to do? What is the class name it is having? Netflix body. Dot what? Netflix body. In Netflix body, background what? Image. Image URL is what? It is this Netflix banner JPG file. And what I will give? I will use background size as cover. Like this I will give. Observe. Now, remember, it is not working now because you have to link that CSS. Where to link the CSS? In index.js, we have to link the CSS. How CSS are linked? Same import. Import. Just you have to use dot slash. That is what? Netflix. What is that? Netflix index. Index dot which file? Dot CSS file. Even CSS files also you have to import. Now, once we import that CSS, it is there. But height, width, everything we need to adjust for that. We need to import. Now, let's go to the CSS. We have to define height as sub 768 pixels. Right now, you can see. So, the height will be adjusted. And here we will put color. Color as what? White. Color is white. Then it is going to apply there. And there is another option. What is it? Netflix what? Shade. Netflix shade is having background color RGBA 000 and 0.5. That is the RGBA. And this also will have a height as 768 pixels. And you can see that this is the dark. That is how we need to build everything. That means CSS is separately maintained, HTML is separate, your JS is separate. This is the basic environment of React, right? Now, if I haven't used any Bootstrap here, because if I install Bootstrap, then I can link those Bootstrap CSS. I can link the Bootstrap CSS and we can implement the same functionality here. That means for every concept, you have to create a separate file. We need to maintain a separate file and we need to start up with the separate file. So as of now, This is same concept, but Bootstrap is not there. So in order to use Bootstrap, what you have to do, you have to install Bootstrap. If you can install Bootstrap, you can set up all Bootstrap classes, right? You can configure all. Now see here, where is that? Let's open terminal. In the terminal, already it is running. It is currently compiling. Make sure that it is still compiling, because if you say Control C, it is stopped. Control C means terminate. Now, when I say yes, the compilation stopped, means execution stopped, server stopped now. Now, if you try to refresh, it will not work. That means make sure that you run the project. That means which one you have to use? NPM. What is it? NPM what? Start. It will start, and automatically when it starts and it is ready, now a server is listening on that particular port number and you can start working with that. And the server is starting in the port number. Now it is fine. Now it is fine. That means this is working fine. Now, what you do is, if you want to install any additional things, then don't disturb this. You can open another terminal here. You can open another terminal. In the terminal, npm install. What install? Bootstrap save. Yesterday we learned we can install Bootstrap. And now I'm installing, suppose, Bootstrap icons. Bootstrap is installed. One more, we are installing another one. What is it? Icons. I am installing Bootstrap icons also. But Bootstrap is not ready to use. We have to link this to index file. Why? Because if you link in any component, it is available only to that component. Every component should use Bootstrap. Then what is the best one? If every component have to use Bootstrap, go to index.js. In index.js, you have to import. What to import? You have to import from /node modules. In that what? Bootstrap. In that Bootstrap dist. In that CSS. In that bootstrap.css. You need one more to import. So import /node modules, Bootstrap icons. In that we have font, Bootstrap icons.css. Now Bootstrap is being used by your project. You can see font styles, everything changes. Now if you want to apply, then let's go here in the header part. In the header part, suppose this is having a div. This div is what? Netflix. And this is having another div. In this what? We are having a drop down. Temporarily I will put a select. I will just put a select and we will put an option. What is it? Language. And beside that I will put a button, so called sign in. Sign in. That means that is the header we are having. And what we are doing for this, we are applying the class name. Actually the class is, the class name. Class name is what? Input group. Input group is the class name. Then it looks like this. And what we are doing here, for this we will put a class name. Class name is, it is form select. And here class name is what? btn danger. And you can see that is working fine. And all these are present in the main container. We will put a class dflex. These are Bootstrap classes to make flex, right? And here I need to adjust. What is that? Justify content. Justify content between like this. Then it will adjust the content between. And this is another container. Right. I think some alignment is disturbed. Let's check. Form select is large. It's okay. Then it is in this way. And justify content between. These need to be in two containers now. Is into container only. Somewhere we missed the design. This I will keep as a div. So heading some Netflix. Yeah. Display flex. Spelling is correctly defined. Between. Some problem in the container itself. let's check. This is not input group, suppose. This must be another div. Okay. In this div, we have to keep input group. That means here we have to put a class name called what? Input group. Now it is fine. We have like margin and 2. That means it will have some gap. And this also have a class margin and 2. Form select we will give. It will be in this way, some gap. And header is having, this is having padding some 4. All directions some gap will come. These all effects are same as we done yesterday. These all effects are same. This is the original size actually. That means you are applying all the bootstrap effects. Then now what we have to do, let's go to the main. Here in the main, we can put a class name as what? Text center. Text center will keep like this. And now you know Netflix register. Here what we have to do. So we need to put a div. And in this div, we need to keep here as class name input what? Group. And here we are having class name as btn what? Danger. And those classes are there. Alignment again, you need to adjust for this. That means we need to keep the alignment class name, deflex, display flex, justify, content center, everything you need to do. All those effects are similar. You need to define those effects. That means it will use class name, form what? Control. It will display in this way. We need to adjust the width here. Just I will keep W as 50. That means width is adjusted. I said sub W 75. Width is adjusted. You can change the position center. This is all, whatever you learned yesterday, you need to implement now here. Height, width, everything you know, you have to write in CSS. Now, what is difference between yesterday's and today's design? So yesterday was done in a simple existing web application. Today, we created a separate React application. In React application, every component is maintained in a separate file. And CSS in a separate file, component in a separate file, we are importing. And we are starting with which component? Index. With index component, we are starting. So this is the process how it actually works. Now you have to try this environment. If you can set up this environment, now we will learn detailedly about what is component actually. That means we will start learning from what? React component. You haven't started learning about component. You just temporarily used them. But now we will really learn what is a component, how it is designed, what are the rules, how it works. Then we can do more with the interactions that we will see tomorrow, right? So by tomorrow, you try this part. That means setting up environment, creating a React application, and same Netflix, you have to try here, right? So then tomorrow we will have, after the class, we will have all the doubts session. Then once we finish the doubts, then we can start working with React components, because this is the major area in React. So entire React development depends on components. You haven't learned detailedly about component. You just saw how to create a function and use it. Now we will learn detailedly what is component, how it works. Then we can do more with components, right? That we'll see in tomorrow's session. Okay, right.